What do you miss most, when you are in the United States?
Good food.
Where would you think it'd be like in 10 years? Like, here, U.S., or maybe other parts of the world?
Probably the U.S.
Probably somewhere.
Working.
What kind of kids is the most popular kids in the U.S. boarding school?
It's the kids that put themselves out there, the ones who reach out, the ones who talk. And anyone can be a popular kid as long as you be yourself and you're not afraid to talk to others.
Great. Could you use 3 words to describe your school?
First one will be quaint, just because it's a quiet little town, a quiet little, small little school.
Okay.
Peaceful and stuff. Second, I'll do creative or creativity. Because I think that's like our core and something we embrace a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Third one, I'll go with homey, because I do feel like that's my home now. Second home away from home.
Okay. Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Z. I'm actually the founder of FindingSchool. Today we are lucky to have AQ from Concord Academy to share us about his experience about the school and some other broad question regarding why and how everything related to the experience studying in a boarding school. And without further ado, I just want to have a few minutes, and why don't you talk about yourself? Why you end up in Concord?
Yep. So like Z said, I'm AQ, a boarding student at Concord Academy right now, currently a junior. And in terms of how I started my process or boarding school process, I sort of just followed in the footsteps of my sister, my older sister.
Oh, okay.
When she was around 7th or 8th grade, in middle school as well, she discovered like the
opportunities or something?
Opportunities, yeah.
Oh.
And
so how did she discover? Maybe from the friends, or maybe parents' discussion?
I'm not too keen on like how exactly she actually landed on boarding schools, but I think it was a mix of like social media, a lot of her friends talking,
so
and like
word of mouth or something like that.
Yeah, and like watching YouTube and stuff. Sure. And I guess it just really hooked her in.
Yeah.
So she went through that whole process, and starting her freshman year in high school, she actually went to Governor's Academy, which is...
Governors, okay. I've been there, very, very nice school.
Yeah, just around like 40 minutes away from my school, Concord Academy.
Yeah,
and and after the first year, I guess she just had a blast, and it was my turn. It was my turn next, and my parents were like, yeah, I think it's a great idea for you to continue in that path, and so I landed on Concord Academy.
That's pretty cool. Oftentimes people just follow, either friends kind of a journey, or maybe relatives. In this case, it will be your sisters. People usually will see some positive changes after a few years. That's a very good way to convince your parents to support you. That's great. But if you could actually tell us a little about your school specifically, right? There's so many schools in the U.S. You probably know this. Just even within 30 or 40 minutes driving distance in Boston, there's maybe 50 schools to choose from, right? But why you end up in Concord? The school selection process is always a very challenging process, because of the language barrier, distance barriers. What did you do? How did you find out in Concord, and why the school actually fit you?
In terms of college or high school list, I had the classic Massachusetts schools.
Massachusetts.
Middlesex.
Concord. Same town, right?
Yeah, Cho. The Exeters and stuff like that. And we wanted to stay in Massachusetts because my sister was already there at Govs.
Sure.
And so it just was helpful for the whole family just to stick to one location.
Of course, yes.
I chose Concord Academy because, first off, it's quite small compared to the other schools, around roughly 400 people.
Yeah.
And I think that was what I was looking for in a high school experience, something that was super tight-knit, where bonds could easily be formed, and where every single person in the school knew each other. Mm-hmm. We actually call our teachers by their first names, and they call us by our first names.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that shows kind of so close to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I tell this to people, they think it's like, wow, that's like weird and stuff. But I actually really love it because it helps form like the bond between student teachers, student faculty.
Yep.
and that is what adds to like the tight-knit community.
Sure. Yes.
And also I think Concord is really peaceful. I mean, it could be boring sometimes, but very peaceful, very nice town with easy access to anything that you would need.
That's right. I mean, just give a little piece about how conveniently the school is located. Because I myself live in Boston for many years. I visit Concord, town of Concord many times as well. This is the town actually about 30 minutes west of Boston, right? Yeah, there's a direct commute rail to downtown Boston. And the beauty about Concord is just literally sitting in the town centers. You get access to a lot of amenities, you know, restaurants, you know, all sorts of stuff. Unlike a lot of boarding school that you mentioned about, even including like a governor, you know, it's a little bit rural.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, you know, not to mention, you know, other schools. So I think that is pretty cool. And also, I think you mentioned about you calling the school, the teacher as the first name, right? First name, yeah, which is not very normal in this boarding school settings. And also for the parents or students, I think there's a unique, interesting point about a teacher in a boarding school or maybe private school in general is the teacher usually wearing different kind of hats, right? The morning that could be your math teachers. In the afternoon, that could be your soccer coach, right? Yeah. And the weekend, that could be your, you know, dorm parents. Yeah, right. Exactly. So that wearing multiple hats. This is kind of a relationship is very unique to the boarding schools. I think that must be a very, very important part of the boarding school experience or culture. Could you describe a few things that you remember most, you know, in the first week of you know, experience in Concord? Yeah.
My entire freshman year was virtual.
Oh, really? Oh, because COVID.
Because of COVID. I was a COVID kid.
That must be tough, yeah.
Yep. So, even though my school was firstly virtual and then sort of like a hybrid in-person, half virtual.
Sure.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunity to get to know the teachers, the students, and the school itself. Mm-hmm. And so technically my first year there was my sophomore year. And I remember like distinctly like in orientation, first week of school and stuff, I just like realized that like all the other students had already formed bonds. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the students came from the same middle school, already knew each other, yep. Or they already had their friend groups, yep. Their clubs, the people they know and the people like they stick with and stuff like that. And so it was difficult at first to, you know, find your people, not only just find your people, but like find people, and just reach out. And I think a big thing you have to do is just exit your comfort zone. Yeah. And you just gotta put yourself out there, join some clubs, join some sports, talk in class, you know, talk to your students in lunches and stuff.
Yes.
And that's like how you slowly develop those relationships and bonds.
Just curious, like when you were here, were you actually at some sort of boarding school or just day school that you come back home every day?
Yeah, so I attended a day school here.
Day school, so that must be a very big change for you, right?
Yeah, it was a massive change from going to school every day to just living in your school.
In your school.
Yeah.
So when was the first time you came back? Like maybe after half year, Christmas time or something, you come back, or did you?
I came back after a whole year, a whole school year that summer. So a whole 9 months away from home.
That's good. I mean, also I learned about this. I mean, you can verify this for me. I mean, unlike other international student body, for example, Chinese students tend to be part of the biggest population on the campus. But you tell me, like, in terms of Vietnamese students, you not have that many, right? Maybe few Vietnamese students. Yeah, we have.
Last year,
that actually creates a good opportunity, unique opportunity. You have to mingle yourself to the bigger kind of international body or local day student. Unlike some Chinese students, they just kind of group together. You know?
Exactly.
So do you agree on that? That people tend to mingle with the local day student or boarding student from the U.S. as well?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think me personally, I'm not the type of person to just mingle with the same people the same people from the same countries or cultures and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm open to like all types of people, and so like you said, I personally, and I know a lot of people do, just mingle and get to know the local day students, the boarders from like other states, stuff like that, and just get to know everyone.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I think you know, get mingle with the local people, you know, you use US, even like international student, that you get a lot of opportunity to learn their cultures, you know, anything you can think about. If you can name like a top 3 kind of the biggest difference between studying in the US boarding school versus the day school you have in Saigon.
The first thing that comes to mind is you don't have your parents. It sounds obvious, but I don't think people realize how much like 14, 15-year-olds, when they're leaving the home, rely on their parents about just about everything.
Yeah, almost every day, right?
Yeah, daily food. It's disregarding like the living essentials like food, water, and money and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like going home and talking to your parents about what happened that school day, or like needing something and like your parents are like gonna help you find it or purchase it or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that, so of course you have teachers, you have dorm faculty that act as a helper, as a second parent. Yeah. But it really, going to boarding school really highlights and like emphasizes your need to grow individually.
And you have to grow.
And mature. You have no choice.
In much faster fashion, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so maturing is part of that process.
Maturing.
As well.
You think how long did it take you to become, you think it's kind of mature? Couple months or couple weeks? I don't know how long.
I think it differs between students, yeah, because personally I was never really homesick. Okay. I was ready to leave.
Oh, wow.
And I was okay with like being away for long periods of time because I knew I was going to come back. Mm-hmm. And even as a kid, I was very self-sufficient.
I see.
So I would like cook, clean, buy all my stuff and stuff.
So you're more prepared than
yeah, I feel like I would say that I was more prepared. Something that I realized after coming back for a break was just the difference in cultures.
Cultures.
Yeah.
Could you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, especially to teens and stuff like that. Just the way that people talk, the way that you talk, the lingo that you use, your mannerisms, you know, like the way people greet each other, and just what people talk about. Just the dynamic between teens and teens really differs when coming from like, for me, Vietnam. Even attending an international school, you would assume that it's similar to the States, but it really isn't.
So right now you're almost 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, so right now you think of yourself thinking most of the time is the American way or more Vietnamese ways? Well, depending on where you're physically located, maybe here is more.
I think I'm a special case because I am much more whitewashed than the other boarding students.
Okay.
So I pretty much am always in like the American mindset.
Even you're here.
Even when I'm here, yeah.
Okay.
Even with my parents and stuff like that. So that's like one of the big effects, especially for me, of going to boarding school. It completely transforms you because it's not like I'm in like American mode. This is just like what I am now, who I am now.
I see.
Yeah, and I think it can differ between students.
Do you have any other kind of a big difference that you want to share with us? Food? I don't know. Food, weather?
Food, weather. I'll combine those two.
Okay.
Just like having to live in your school. So as someone who's stayed there for 2 years now, I can without a doubt say that your mom's home cooking will always be better. And nothing will beat like a home cooked meal, like coming back from school at night, and always having access to fantastic food. I am a fan of Asian culture and Asian food. Yeah. So I'm a little bit biased, but you will have to endure, you know, some chicken breast every now and then.
You sure?
A little bit dry. And along with that, you will have to endure like a couple snowstorms, which are always nice because you get the day off. And just
snow
like
days.
Yeah, snow days. A little bit colder, a little bit drier.
Yeah.
But
you gotta enjoy it 4 seasons.
Exactly.
Right. That's probably something you don't have here.
It's just definitely a pro-con. Yeah.
Sure. Of course, yes. Let's zoom into maybe academic a little bit. I think most of the parents here, I think in their mind, one of the major reasons to send the kids overseas, of course, is academic. You know, hopefully you have better achievements and going to a better schools in terms of college. If you can share a little bit about opportunity, maybe difficulty or challenge in terms of dealing with 2 academic assistants. For example, right, in the boarding school, we have something called Hackness table discussions.
Conversational type of class is basically the norm at my school. We have pretty small classes.
Like how small, like a 10, 12, something?
May range from 15 maybe to 18 students.
15 to 18 is the average class size.
Is average on the larger side, I'd say.
I think large. I think 12 to 15 probably, yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of classes are around 12 to 15.
Sure.
And as you get older in your career and you have like more specified classes like or advanced classes, then they can get really small.
Get really small. Huh? Oftentimes I heard about like if you really want to do some subjects and school doesn't really have it, they may actually create a class for you.
Yeah, you can do a individual study. I went to Saigon South International School.
Yeah, use that example. Yeah,
I think my classes ranged from high 10s or like 18, 19 to like 25. Maybe.
So it's a little bit bigger. Right?
Yeah, a bit bigger. But I do know that SIS has slightly smaller class sizes compared to other schools in Vietnam and other schools with maybe more students.
More students.
So yeah, definitely smaller class sizes, and which results in more individualized teaching, I think.
Sure.
Because the teacher can pay more attention to each student.
But any other things you have witnessed in terms of the difference between two academic systems? You know, homework, you know, maybe project-based kind of learning, or maybe, I don't know, anything you can think about it.
Yeah, I think obviously there are your classic classes, like some math teachers, like I'd say like the traditional academic rigor and type that Asians enjoy, which is like, you know,
sure,
they teach on the board, you write it down, you take tests and stuff like that. But I think especially at TA, the just flexibility and creativity that teachers have, and they take advantage of that. So a lot of the humanities classes, arts classes, performing arts classes, stuff like that, they will take on really creative ways to examine your understanding. You'll have activities, you'll have class discussions, you'll have presentations, you can like, you might have to have a play or something, you might have to create, like one of my assignments for my English class today, this year, was to create a book cover.
Design a book cover?
Yeah, to design a book cover to represent a certain character in a book that we were reading. And that's just one example of like different ways where you can be assessed. And it's not just traditional, you know, learn from the teacher, test.
Yeah. So you can tell us a little bit about, maybe, for example, I think you're wearing like a volleyball club.
I am, yeah.
You're part of the volleyball team?
I am actually the founder of this club, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Coming in sophomore year, I saw this board of all the CA clubs. Yeah. And I was like, how are there so many clubs? And a friend told me that it's incredibly easy to start whatever your passion is at CA, and they really encourage just pursuing whatever niche passion that you have. And so the ease of creating a community, a small club, is so helpful, I think. And so you can see here, I started a volleyball club because we personally don't have a men's volleyball team. And coming from Vietnam, playing volleyball, I really wanted to, you know, keep going with that sport, keep going with that passion.
Hold on, so you do have, so CA does not have volleyball men team?
We don't have men's volleyball, no.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
Men's volleyball is actually quite rare.
That's true, yeah, it's primary girl, Soccer is for girl and, you know, volleyball is for girl, yes, right.
So I found a couple of upperclassmen as well who also were passionate about volleyball, either already played or wanted to start playing.
I see.
And so we went through the whole process, which isn't really that hard, you know, explaining why, how, stuff like that. And boom, we got this club.
Okay. You got a lot of support from teacher in the school to set up this up?
Yeah, you need an academic advisor just to
approve for it.
Approve of the club and stuff, but it's really quite easy to start stuff like that. Yeah. One of the seniors this year founded a hypertrophy club, which is just like a lifting club. Okay. For people who are passionate about that. That was passed down to me too. And just the ease of clubs and the sheer variety of clubs, I think, is really important here. We have debate club, we have stuff like that, MUN.
For school like CA has about 300 students, how many clubs you have?
I think definitely more than 50.
Okay,
I think
so
like
50 or 60, 70 or something like that. So it's about maybe 1-4 ratio or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of clubs that you can choose from. Even there's no such club, that you can just form one.
You can make your own club.
Yeah, you made it as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
precisely.
great. Yeah, and I mean, the club is definitely is a good way for you to find your own passions. You know, finding your own passion is always the top priority for the school, you know, administrative perspective. So could you share a little bit about, maybe you have some friends, you know, cool friends, they may have very special passions. Have you know anybody like that?
Like super niche ones?
I mean, anything, think about, hey, I don't know, how come he had this kind of passions, you know? Maybe or do some interesting sports, or some interesting, like a community service, even some other passions that you may not, you know, notice.
Last year, there's a senior who's really interested in geopolitics.
Okay.
And so, just like me, he started this whole club about that.
Sure.
And I think he applied as a politics major, and got in a great school. And there's just like so many different
topics and passions.
Yeah, and passions that you can pursue.
Interests.
Like one of my friends is really interested in like investment.
Investment?
Yeah, so he started his own investment group.
Okay.
And they get funded and stuff, and get like mock accounts and stuff like that.
That's pretty amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like a lot of, it embraces niche passions, and it really, the school really wants you to like expand on those. Yeah.
Become lifelong passions, you know.
Yeah.
For the audience, I mean, sports is such big part of the boarding school communities. So I bet you might have tried something that you never tried here. You know,
for sure.
For example, hockey probably is not a thing here. Maybe you get a chance to try. Each school actually have different tier of sports, right? You have a varsity, junior varsity, team 3 or 4, something like that. Could you share a little bit for the audience here regarding the role of sports in the high school, and personally, you know, what kind of a sport you have tried, and what did you learn from that?
Okay.
Yeah, you might have a lot to say, I think.
Yeah, I do have a lot to say about this. So sophomore year, my technically first year here. So I joined the basketball team. I only made the junior varsity team. That's the second team.
Second team.
And it was a great season. And I think in terms of how sports impacts your experience there, the teams that you are in, no matter like what level, what difficulty and stuff like that, will be your bonds forever. And I think that like last year's JV basketball team, we still talk to each other. We're all friends with each other. We always say hi in the hallways and stuff like that. Still play pickup basketball and stuff like that. Yeah. And so that is definitely a major part for a lot of people of your experience there, the people you get to know. And in terms of trying new sports, as of right now, I'm actually a varsity wrestler and varsity lacrosse player. And 2 completely new sports that I had no clue what whatsoever.
Lacrosse, yes. Yeah. It's a very New England things.
Yeah. And I think especially at my school, but also just a recommendation for a lot of students is just to try new things. Yeah. And it won't hurt to try. This year, a couple of my friends were in the wrestling team, and they're like, you know, you want to try it out? It's really fun. And I was like, I was skeptical at first, but I figured, why not? Yeah,
why not mentality is important.
Exactly. And yeah, it's one of my favorite sports now. I really want to pursue that next year, win some competitions, win some tournaments and stuff like that. And that whole team, that wrestling team, we're all super tight. We all, you know, work out together, we lift together, we hang out together and stuff like that. And the lacrosse team is just the exact same thing.
In terms of inter-school competition, so you guys travel to different schools. When would that happen? Like a Wednesday afternoon? Like how often travel to that?
So I feel like in that system, it's very similar to the international schools here.
Okay.
So our game days are Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And if it's home, we have an athletic campus off campus.
Yeah.
So we go to athletic campus. And if it's an away game, then we hop on a bus and, you know, go to that school and do whatever sport that is.
I see. Okay, so let me ask a little bit about, you know, as international students, I mean, specific Vietnamese student, and, you know, how you think that a Vietnamese student could be a kind of a good like community member to the CAs specifically, you know, what you think, how this Vietnamese student can contribute that community, maybe culturally, or maybe you think about how that would, I mean, this, having a very good international community is definitely one of the top priority for the boarding schools, right? That's why they recruit a lot of students from overseas. Yeah,
I think I have two ways to answer that question, two answers.
Sure.
I think the question being like, how can a Vietnamese student contribute to the community? And my answer is just like any other student. I think a lot of international students, because they're coming from a different culture, a different origin, they feel the need to separate themselves or like congress with their fellow international students. And I think that's completely unnecessary, as well as like shouldn't be encouraged as much, because I think a good community is a community where everyone's equal. And so, like me, for example, I hang out and join clubs and communities of all different types.
Yeah, regardless of the background.
Exactly.
Language,
so my first answer to that is just like any other student in the school.
Sure.
Reach out, be a role model, be a role student.
Yep.
But my second answer is I actually am the head of the International Student Organization.
Okay, you are
now. Yeah.
Great.
And our school has a lot of affinity groups of like students from the same culture. We have CEAS, which is Southeast Asian Student Association.
Okay.
Yeah. And lots of different affinity groups for different races, different ethnicities, cultures and stuff. And I think that's also a great place where you can find your people, find people like you, and also these groups hold a lot of events that spread both awareness, but also just inform the whole school of like the significance of their cultures. We do a lot of like food selling, food vendors,
festivals, and stuff like that.
Festivals, and just hold community-wide events to spread awareness, and not only awareness, but just like interest in different cultures, different international countries and stuff.
I mean, generally speaking, American people are quite interested about different things.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, and that's great. I think I really like your answers from two perspectives. Last question, I think, is, help this audience to really visualize your daily life.
Classic academic day?
Yes, I think that would be great. Okay. For people to, visualize.
So, we are unique in that, well, first off, at around 7:30, 8 a.m., I'm going to wake up in my dorm, which I'm lucky enough to have a single dorm, so it's just me.
Single dorm.
But very, very oftentimes, you're going to have a roommate or two roommates.
Yep.
Especially your first year there, you're definitely going to have a roommate.
Yes.
So that's also part of like getting used to and stuff. Your roommates will be waking up. Could be great, or it could be a hassle, their alarms could wake you up and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough not to experience that. And then we always start every single day off with either a chapel or an announcement.
Okay.
And we have no religious affiliation, but we have a gorgeous building called the chapel.
Yeah.
And we have one of our biggest tradition, which is every senior gets one selected day to give their chapel, and which is just a 15-minute speech of whatever they want to talk about. Usually it's like their experience at CA, thank you to their friends, to the teachers and stuff like that. I think it's a great tradition. So we'll either head to that or we'll head to announcements, which is also a great tradition, which is just 2 times a week, usually Mondays. We're going to the big auditorium, the big Performing Arts Center, and people, students, teachers, faculty will line up, and they'll just go on stage and announce something to the whole school. Yeah. Like, our club is meeting after school today at 4 p.m. Please come out.
Sure, announcements.
Yeah, announcements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing. And we start that off around 30 minutes. And then we'll head to class. Our schedule is a little complex because Mondays we have all of our courses, 7 classes.
Okay, 7.
Yeah. But it's like short 40-minute blocks.
40 minutes.
Just to check into every class, set the tone for the next week.
I see.
But on a usual day like Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we have 3 classes and a lunch block. And so I'll go to my first class and second class, which are around 70 minutes each.
Okay.
And then lunch, which can differ depending on the day, from like 30 minutes to, we actually have Wednesdays and Fridays 2-hour lunch blocks.
2 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is really nice to do whatever
Do
you want.
you have like do sit down dinner or more buffet style?
Like I think it's buffet style. It's
Buffet
like catering style. Yeah.
Okay. Just sit wherever you want. Sit.
Yeah.
Because some schools you have the assigned tables.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're sitting with your advisors, you know, and
I will say we have an
maybe
assigned
formal
section.
one. Formal one.
We have an assigned section for the freshmen,
Okay.
which is called the freshman area, freshman pit.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great. I know people like frown upon it sometimes, but it's actually a great experience because it forces all the newcomers to, sit together. So you're bound to talk to each other and make some friends. And I think that's a lot of people make their first friends.
That's very purposeful. I mean, they just want to do that because it can ice breaking.
School, the academic school day usually ends at around 3:15. Yeah. And after school, that's where all the freedom begins, I think.
Sure.
For fall season, which I don't do a sport, for fall season, I'll usually go work out in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And for winter and spring, I'll go to practice, which that'll be from 3:30 to around 6. After school is like where a lot of clubs meet, where a lot of music instruction classes meet, and whatever your passion is, you're probably going to do that after school. And then 5:30 to 7:30 is the dinner area.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go whenever within that time to the dining hall, meet with your friends, have some dinner. And then we have free time. You just chill, do whatever you want. Go to your CVS, get a local Starbucks run.
Luxury, to go
and
there.
then 7:30 we have study hall.
Okay.
Just to make sure that every student has a time in their day, especially the ones that aren't super organized, a time in their day to get their work done. So that's from 7:30 to 9:30. And then we have curfew at 10, which we go back. And on Wednesdays we have house meeting where all the house comes to the common room in the house. We check in with each other, we talk, we do some week updates, maybe have some food. A lot of times we have some food to share.
Okay.
And 11 p.m. lights out, and that's a wrap.
What about internet? Still on? Lights up? Like internet is still on?
I mean, technically, no one sleeps at 11.
Okay. It's a secret, but not a secret actually.
Yeah, not so secret, but that's around like a day in the life.
I see. Oh, thanks very much, AQ. I think that was very detailed daily schedule breakdown. Yeah, thanks again. I think AQ, you've been very generous by your time.
Thank you.
I think that was a great session. I hope the audience will learn about you story and also Concord Academy. Yep. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.